Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, whatever you are. This is Don't Read the Comments. It's been a couple of weeks, so we're going to read some comments, some feedback that you lovely people, or people you know, or people you don't know, complete strangers on the internet have left on kickseat.com or the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel or the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. Wherever you're leaving feedback, I'm collecting them. I'm going to read them all because why not? Let's dive right in. I hope you have coffee, much as I have coffee, because it's an ungodly hour in the morning. It's the only time I can really do this, as I spill coffee all over my desk. Talk about professionalism. But yeah, we've got a lot of things to go through today, including an epic comment that we'll get to at the very end. So be sure to stick around. First up, we have some feedback left on kickseat.com. Actually, a comment from my written review of The Batman, the one that is possibly a record holder for the number of words I've certainly devoted in written form to a movie, something over 3,300. But anyway, it's not been all sunshine and roses as far as responses to my thoughts on The Batman. However, Not My True Identity writes in to say, this is the movie that Nolan fans deserve, but not the one that Fincher fans deserve. That's a very astute point. I spent a good deal of time talking about the Fincherization of Batman in this movie and how I didn't quite think it worked. People disagree, but you know what? That's fine. That's what we're here for is open and honest discourse. And I'm not spending a lot of time in this comment just because Not My True Identity happens to agree with me, but doesn't hurt. I will say, and this is sort of a plug for something that people are going to see next week or in the past, depending on when you're watching this video. I did an interview with Charles Murray, who's got a film coming out on April 1st called The Devil You Know. And he worked a lot in television, producing and writing a lot of very varied shows, including a lot of comics work for Marvel. And he actually went to go see The Batman with Jeff Loeb. Now, if you're a comics reader, you'll know exactly who he is, and you're going to want to hear that story. So that's coming out next week, or as I mentioned, sometime in the past. So look it up. Next, we have a comment from Jay Ashraf on my review of Halloween Kills that I did with David Fowley of Keeping It Real last year. New to your channel, loved your review. Evil dies tonight. Yes, it does. Well, not really. It was sort of, I guess, put into a coma tonight because, as we all know, Halloween Ends is coming out, I believe, later this year. It's the end to the new Halloween trilogy, and I, for one, cannot wait to attend the funeral. Next, more Batman talk. This was a reaction to the Batman live stream that we did a few weeks ago. And our Argentinian superfan, Petinato Petty, wrote in with a very heartfelt comment. And Petty actually attended the live stream and was commenting up a storm, which is always great to see. And we're going to have more live streams coming up very soon because we're getting into the season where Disney Marvel is rolling out multiple series and also like Star Wars shows and all that. So the weekly Wednesday live streams are starting up again. So I hope you'll join so you can enjoy great company like Petty. But Petty wrote in, this day has been very hard for me because an uncle of mine passed away who was like a second father to me. Participating in your live show helped me to distract myself for a few moments from this great pain that I feel. And that is why I wanted to send you my thanks. Greetings, and I will be seeing it in the next edition. Well, Petty, I actually shared your comment with Earth's Mightiest Critics, with whom I did the panel on the show, and we all extend our heartfelt sympathies for you in your time of grief. This is one of the reasons that I love doing live shows and having comments and building a bit of a small but very vibrant and engaged community here on Kicking the Seat. It's not all just about discussing movies. I like to say that movies are life, but life involves movies, and it's a great way for people to connect. So thank you very much for writing in. Also from the Batman live stream, I Remain Productions says, can't believe I missed the live. Darn it. Great insights from everyone. Well, thank you, I Remain Productions. We certainly like to think so. From our last episode of Don't Read the Comments, we have Horror 101 with Dr. AC writing in to say, you, sir, are a gentleman, a scholar, and a rock star. Well, this is, AC. He was probably commenting on the comment regarding one of our Hammerland or Accademia Giallo episodes. So, as Cole Rush did the last time we read a comment from a person who joins in the channel as a guest. I'm gonna read that comment, but I'm not gonna count it because you know, of course, you're gonna think I'm lovely and wonderful and a rock star because we hang out together, we talk movies. But no, all kidding aside, yes, I am a rock star. Jay Ashroff writes in again to say this is a fantastic series. Looks like they're going back and looking at Friday the 40th, which is a year-long special I did with Lee Shoquist of Chicago Film, who we'll be talking about in a few minutes again, where we looked at the Friday the 13th franchise, all 12, 13 movies, if you count Freddy versus Jason, which I believe we did in the year 2020. It was the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th, so we went through the entire series, including with Peter Bracke, who wrote the fantastic and essential coffee table book, Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of Friday the 13th. So you can check that out on one of our Kicking the Seat playlists, and I definitely recommend it. And apparently, so does Jay Ashraf. Another big fan of the show, Big Swifty 500 writes in, talking about the Son of Hammerland episode on the QUATERMASS experiment from 1955. Please review the other 50s and 60s Hitchcock psychological thrillers from Hammer. They are underrated gems. Well, we'll have to look those up and see if we have any on the docket. I know we've got a whole bunch of Son of Hammerland movies slated for the rest of the year. I don't know how much of them are Hitchcockian, but we might have to do some special episodes or find some room for them because especially when someone like Big Swifty writes in with a request, we have to listen because we are the voice of ourselves, but we also like to listen to the fans. Big Swifty continues, by the way, Dr. AC is a treasure. I need to have a drink with him and watch some Hammer pictures. Wow. That could be a show, maybe for 2023, Getting Hammered with Hammer. I love that. But by the way, thank you for again calling out Dr. AC, Aaron Christensen, the wonderful, the essential. He is a rock star, and I feel like I glossed over that completely with the previous comment, boosting myself up. But yeah, he's wonderful. One of the reasons we have these shows talking about Hammer films and Giallo is because he has over the years become not only a wonderful friend but also a mentor in the ways of horror and has opened me up to worlds I could not have even imagined. So yeah, if you're a fan of those movies, please check out the playlist for Son of Hammerland and Hammerland, which is the series we did last year, as well as Accademia Giallo, which is our monthly Sunday live streams. We have wonderful roundtables of guest hosts and guests to educate people on these great obscure kind of films, obscure to I think mainstream audiences. But if you're into horror and suspense and you've never seen these brilliant films from the 50s all the way up to the 90s and beyond, in terms of Hammer films, Giallo, and like Italian horror in general, definitely get educated. How many times can I say educated on a live stream? I don't know. Speaking of Accademia Giallo, we have a comment here from our recent episode on My Dear Killer from 1972. Wet Dog writes in to say, nobody mentioned the bit where the woman was watching Django on TV and calls it rubbish. Funny from another spaghetti western director. Confession time, when I was watching My Dear Killer, I saw the Django clip that you mentioned, and I noticed that the director seemed to pay inordinate, I can speak, amount of attention to what was on TV. I just hadn't recognized it because I've never seen Django. The closest I came was Django Unchained from Quentin Tarantino. But yeah, I forgot to write it down and ask the group about it. But thank you, Wet Dog, for pointing out that it was Django. And of course, once again, Horror 101 with Dr. AC writes in to say, dang it, Wet Dog, that was even in my notes, and I forgot to call it out. Nice job. Nice job indeed. I also love it when there's comments and then reactions to the comments. This might be a first for this series, but I hope it's not the last. 2MS Valkyrie replies to our Hammerland episode on Dracula A.D. 1972 to say, thank you so much, chaps. Good to know that our distant cousins across the Atlantic still share some aspects of common culture and history. Well, indeed. And thank you. I assume that you're coming from the UK or thereabouts, although I shouldn't assume because you know what happens when you do that. But yes, thank you. And the culture and history, I guess, for giving us these Hammer films to discuss. It's one of my favorite series. as I've been gushing about for the last several minutes. Also, 2MS Valkyrie writes in to say, could you guys consider discussing the Gorgon, Hammer 1964? Very atmospheric and all the essential ingredients in place, deserving of cult status, I think. Okay. This is in reaction to Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Well, 2MS Valkyrie, you are in luck. Because if you go on the Kick Seat YouTube channel and type in the Gorgon, well, I'll just leave a link in the description to the episode that we did on the Gorgon last year for the 2021 Scarathon. And it is indeed an amazing film. And one of the reasons that we are now doing Son of Hammerland. Hammerland was our trip down, I guess, Hammer Memory Lane last year, talking exclusively about the Dracula and Frankenstein movies. But with Son of Hammerland, we're broadening out to the other genre films that Hammer did that don't involve those characters. And we did talk about the Gorgon. Fantastic movie if you haven't checked it out. You have, but I'm talking about you, the you behind you, 2MS Valkyrie. Jay Ashraf writes in again to comment on our Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors episode, which we did just this week with Lee Shoquist of ChicagoFilm.com. Fantastic deep dive. Love the pod. Will you do any further Elm Streets? Not will you do Ernie? Yes, I can say that we have. In fact, in the link in the show notes of that episode, the Dream Warriors one, down at the very bottom, I've got a link to the audio podcast that Lee and I did, where we talked about the original Elm Street, Elm Street 2, I think, and then also New Nightmare. Yeah, it's all there. And additionally, I had spoken to Nick Allen of RogerEbert.com several years ago. We did a double podcast on the film Final Girls and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. So I'll leave links to all of those down below so you don't have to do any more digging than what you're doing right now. So definitely check those out. And as far as further Elm Streets, I don't know. I would like to do an entire series on those, but it's strange because we've already done a few. So maybe we'll reboot the entire thing in 2 years, just as we did with Jason. We'll give Freddy the year-long retrospective treatment. So if you can stay tuned for that long, please do. We're going to close out on something a little special. Now, it's special because, they say you don't know what you have until it's gone. And that's definitely the case in this case. I got a comment sometime last week, or maybe it was the week before. It was in between the time since we last met to discuss these comments and what you're watching right now. A viewer wrote in with a comment on the YouTube channel, and I saw it and I read part of it, but as you'll see, I didn't read the entire thing because it came in while I was looking at my phone. And wow, elaborate, very in-depth, very long comment. So again, you're going to want some coffee. This will, in fact, be the first time that I am reading the comment in depth. I mean, you can almost say it's a movie review in itself. Now, I say it's special and you don't know what you have till it's gone because when I was putting the slides together for this episode of Don't Read the Comments, I couldn't find it. I don't know if the user removed the comment or if YouTube removed the comment. I don't know why they would. Now, again, there might be something incredibly offensive that we're going to see in the middle of this review. I don't think so. But fortunately, when you write in, especially to YouTube, I get a notification in my email about comments that have gone up, and it includes the entire comment. So dismayed as I was, I realized after much tears and much booze that, hey, the comment was not lost. I definitely want to share it with you because as an example of the kind of engagement that I really appreciate. I like every bit of engagement, one sentence, couple words, but when you take the time to write something that is this elaborate, it really, it touches me. I'm saying that sincerely. People say, "Oh, I was so touched." It is very moving to know that you're not just watching this, but some of you actually want to reach out and engage on a level that, I don't know that I could have written something like this into a YouTube show. That sounded kind of like, dickish, I guess, but we're going to get to it. So I just wanted to preface this by saying, strap in. This is a comment that you cannot find on YouTube anymore unless the user reinstates it somehow, I guess, or YouTube does. But we caught it in the net, and now I'm going to release it out into the wild of Don't Read the Comments. Amanda B writes in as a response to "Marry Me" from 2022, the show I did with David Fowley of Keeping It Real, a movie that neither of us cared for very much. I think he liked it a bit more than I did, but I certainly did not. And you can check out that conversation again in the description. Here we go. Thanks for your review on this movie. I've been curious as to what other people thought of it. I was so excited to see it when I saw the trailer, and my initial thought was, and still is, that I really love this rom com a lot. But I definitely had some thoughts after watching it a few times on Peacock. I went into watching this movie fully expecting fluff. I mean, it's a total fluff piece, but it definitely did what it set out to do. It was sweet and cheesy, and there was music, romance, kids, and a dog. Lo really brought heart and charm to Kat, and Owen Wilson was adorable and just as charming as Charlie. I thought their chemistry was actually awesome, but it wasn't taken advantage of properly. And in terms of them both being older actors playing romantic leads, I actually love that. I'm now in my early 40s. So am I. And as a woman, at least, I love seeing actors that are my age and even a little older get paired up in movies like this. As for appearance, yes, we all know JLo is gorgeous, no secret there. I know Wilson gets a bit of heat for his looks, but I think he's cute in his own way. Parker says Charlie has offbeat good looks in one of the scenes. That's exactly how I describe him too, and he was the perfect actor to play Charlie. I do wonder if he was wearing hair extensions or a wig in this movie because of his shorter haircut for Loki, but I couldn't tell for sure. Regarding that scene with Kat, and I should mention that I believe in the YouTube comment format from when I looked at it when I peeked, this was broken into paragraphs. So this big block of text, you can blame Gmail for that. And the kids in the classroom, I think that the permission slips were done in advance in case Kat ever made arrangements to be anywhere near the school. The fact that Charlie is married to her probably made it necessary for all the students in her classes and the math club to have waivers signed by all their parents. I also imagine that Kat called Parker and arranged to be at the school that day without Charlie knowing because she wanted to surprise him and put forth a gesture that she cared about the kids getting to know his world too. I didn't interpret it as Kat wanting to exploit the kids, but her way of making an effort in Charlie's world because she actually liked him. Just my thought, but it's a rom com. I doubt this much thought went into the background of the script. LOL. I didn't get the impression that Charlie was a struggling teacher. He probably didn't make a ton of money, but he clearly could afford to live just fine and support his kid. And he lives in a nice place in Brooklyn by the water, so not too shabby in the normal world, but struggling in comparison to Kat's fancier world. I don't think the kids in Charlie's class are crazy underprivileged either. They were just normal kids in a math club. Public schools are always in need of fundraisers for the kids, especially in cities, which is why Parker told Colin that the way to get Charlie on board to helping out Kat was to do a fundraiser for the school. Other observations. I was a little thrown off by how the trailer for this movie showed scenes that were never in the actual movie, a perennial problem, Amanda. Or that they were extended scenes of scenes which I thought were much better than what they did use. So that was one of my first observations. Hoping those extra and extended scenes are on the DVD Blu ray. I also think the movie felt a little choppy in some areas, like there needed to be more substance. I think there are aspects of the relationship between Kat and Charlie that seemed a little rushed throughout the movie, too. Had they fleshed out their time getting to know one another just a tad more with more depth, it would have been awesome. And I agree, it would have been so much better to know more about Kat's background and her past. Colin mentions that she was raised by a single father who died before she became successful, but that was it. I was also disappointed that there weren't a few more scenes of Charlie and Kat as an actual couple, too. They get together, then there's a couple of stage scenes of them spending time together, but it didn't feel organic. Then 5 minutes later, they are broken up. It was a shame because the we're together intimacy was a big missing piece. The Wonder Wheel scene was so sweet and intimate, they needed to do more of that. The conflict of Kat potentially getting back with Bastion was fine. I fully expected that, but there needed to be a better transition scene. It felt a bit off going from a sweet, serious moment on a Ferris wheel to Kat hanging with Charlie and the kids at school to them breaking up. I think the lack of intimacy, i.e., holding hands, showing that they're together, etc., kind of made it seem like there needed to be something else there before Charlie goes to talk to her after she and Bastion did their performance. Bastion was kind of a cardboard character to me. I really didn't care for him one way or the other, but Maluma and JLo do sound great together on the album. I loved Colin, Parker, and Lou. They were awesome, and all the scenes with the kids were fun. Absolutely couldn't stand the scenes with Fallon. It was just bleh. And Mel drove me nuts. The actress who plays her is and is amazing, but OMG, her character was just flat out mean. Like, okay, I get it. She thought Charlie was a dork, but some of the things she says to him are just downright nasty. I think there should have been a scene in there where we actually see Mel change her mind about him and maybe root for him and Kat to make it together. I mean, Mel ended up with the other Mathalon guy, so she can't hate nerdy guys that much. I think there were a few scenes in the movie that could have been trimmed and replaced with better quality content and with more substance. Honestly, them getting remarried at the end is what I was expecting. Same with a couple of my friends, and it would have tied in Kat proposing to Charlie. I liked that the individual stories at the end, but it was a total ripoff of the end of When Harry Met Sally. This movie just missed so many great opportunities to do more and be something sweet and deep at the same time, so this definitely was a bummer. But aside from those observations, I still enjoyed it a lot for what it was. It was a great feel good movie that we really needed during these crazy times. Sorry for the long rant. Thanks for reading. Looking forward to watching more of your content. Well, Amanda, never apologize for the long rants. This is the kind of, again, engagement that I love. And yeah, I applaud you for watching this on Peacock multiple times, I think was the, the phrase that you used. So really getting to know what you felt about the movie and being able to articulate it in such a positive, constructive manner. It's great. Now, some of the points that we talked, David and I talked about in the podcast are actually addressed here, such as the whole permission slip thing. I guess it's feasible that the parents could have been informed by the school and asked to sign some kind of a consent form without the kids knowing. But I still feel that there would have been some pushback from the parents, a little bit of uncertainty as to whether or not they wanted this pop star to just be able to, pop into their kid's classroom and disrupt things or make an appearance. And I still don't know about the whole recording them and posting on, an Instagram live or whatever they were streaming to. That could have been an entire subplot to itself of at least one parent out of this entire class saying, "No, I don't want my kid to be shown on the internet, especially in to promote ostensibly some pop star's romance." But that's neither here nor there. It's open to interpretation, and I also like the fact that you and I are on the same wavelength as far as there's far much more material to be mined in a movie like this, and there's definitely enough time, breathing room in the runtime to explore those issues. But it's a big budget rom com, so the filmmakers are not necessarily interested in exploring things like that. The studio certainly is. It they want their bubblegum pop, fairy princess, whatever, and that's fine. But when I watch movies like this, I'm holding it up to the certain standards of great rom-coms past that really seem to care about their characters, and this definitely is not one of them. I agree that there is a great movie to be made about an older actress and an older actor getting together, maybe even the context of a pop star or a movie star. We saw it with Notting Hill, although Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant were quite younger back then. But my point is, uh, really getting into what it means to be an aging pop star, an aging movie star, and to find love. That's awesome. I would watch the hell out of that movie. This movie treated Lo as if she was a 22-year-old pop star, and she certainly talked and acted like it in a lot of scenes. And I think part of that comes down to the fact that this was, from what I understand, the original character as envisioned in the source material comic book. They just didn't quite, they cast Lo, but they didn't really go back and tweak to say, okay, now how is Lo different from a 22-year-old, white pop star? Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities there. So yeah, I'm not going to go and rehash everything. If you would like to see what the hell I'm talking about, what is Marry Me? I mean, it came out a little bit more than a month ago and kind of came and went. You can go check out my review with David Fowley, and then come back and read Amanda B's wonderful comment / review again to get the full context. So there you have it. Another edition come and gone of Don't Read the Comments. I know it was a bit lengthy and maybe self-indulgent, definitely self-indulgent. But I want to say thank you for writing in. Thank you for commenting, for leaving feedback again on the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, kickseat.com, the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. I read it all. I collect it all. I present it all for your amusement, your education. There's that word again. And I hope to be able to do more of these. Again, we try and do it every couple of weeks because we don't get a ton of interaction, but we get more than we used to, which is why instead of just typing away something in the comment section as a response, I'm sharing it here on video. Narcissism, you bet. Anyway, thanks. If you want to participate in this, you can just leave a comment on any of the videos, interviews, reviews, live streams that you see on any of those Kick in the Seat platforms. And then check back for the latest Don't Read the Comments. Set an alarm, as Brian Martinez apparently has, my co-host on Accademia Giallo, to be notified when new episodes of this series go up. Brian, I hope you enjoyed this one and that you're not disappointed. For everyone else out there, thanks again for watching. And until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thanks very much and take care. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to do this. If you like this content, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Please, it really helps. And we'll get more people, ostensibly, to leave comments. And so we'll get much longer Don't Read the Comments videos, which is what the world needs right now, right? Well, that and, peace and stability and all that good stuff. But more movies, better movies, and more comments. So keep them coming. Thanks. And for real now, take care.